Good evening. It is the 5th day of the 5th month of 2023, a day that we're here to inform you on what's happening in the country and beyond. Our reporters have been in the ground all over the country to bring you reports from around the country, and we have reports also from around the globe in sports news. We have this and much more in this particular bulletin, but first, the highlights. Prosecution seeks to detain controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie for 90 more days, says suspects might interfere with investigations if released. Dedan Kimathi's widow Mukami Kimathi dies at Nairobi Hospital, aged 101 years. Germany to boost Kenya's geothermal potential in a bid to strengthen bilateral ties between the two countries. And embattled Jubilee Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni wants Sabina Nkega expelled from the Jubilee Party register, claims unlawful ouster of Uhuru Kenyatta.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin.
And Evans ODHIAMBO is with us in the sign language interpretation. Welcome to the broadcast. For the next 1 hour, we shall be informing you what's happening in the country and beyond. Later in this particular conversation, we shall be bringing in the Deputy Chief Conservator of Forests in Kenya Forest Service, that is Charity Munyasia, to help us understand what is happening, where our forests are at, and where do we need to be. But first, let's get to the stories. And self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Ntenge Mackenzie, who is due to face terrorism charges for allegedly urging followers to starve to death to meet Jesus, appeared before Mombasa court today together with 6 other co-accused persons in the case. The prosecution team has commended the detention of Paul Mackenzie and his team for 90 more days, arguing that their release might interfere with investigations and could be in danger if released.
The self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Mackenzie appeared before Shanzu Law Court today in Mombasa, together with 6 other co-accused persons, where the prosecution team have requested the court to allow the state to detain the suspect for 90 more days in order to allow for the completion of investigations and police identification procedures. The prosecution argued that the suspect may interfere with investigations and might be in danger of facing mob injustice if released. They also stated that the limited resources allocated to the investigation make it difficult to provide 24/7 security for the suspect. The prosecution further added that there is a possibility that the suspect may continue to radicalize Kenyans with extreme religious ideologies once freed, pointing out that Mackenzie had been convicted before on similar charges and was a repeat offender who does not deserve consideration for bail. The presiding magistrate, Yusuf Abdallah Shikanda, will make a ruling on the prosecution's request on May 10, 2023. Mackenzie and his co-accused have been charged with various offenses, including radicalization and recruitment of Kenyans to join extremist group. Patrick Oduor, KUTV.
Mukami Kimathi, widow of revered freedom fighter Dedan Kimathi, has passed away at the age of 101 on Thursday night at Nairobi Hospital. The late Mukami had been rushed to hospital on the same night after developing breathing difficulties. Evelyn Ongoi Kimathi, the daughter of the deceased, confirmed her death.
The late Dedan Kimathi's wife, Mukami Kimathi, has died at the age of 101 years. The deceased died while receiving treatment after developing breathing difficulties. The late Mukami has been in and out of hospital since 5th January 2023, when she was admitted at a local health facility after exhibiting symptoms of pneumonia. President William Ruto has sent his condolences to the family of the deceased. He has described the late Mukami as a steadfast patriot and well-known champion for national unity who inspired many Kenyans of all ages to cherish our country and stand ready to defend our values. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, speaking at Lee Funeral Home this morning, mourned the late Mukami. Rigathi described the late as a symbol of resilience and an icon of Kenya's freedom.
Mukami Kimathi has been the symbol of resilience. She has been the symbol of our defiance to oppression. She has been the mother of our liberation struggle, and she has been the beacon of hope surrounding the freedom fighters and their descendants. We are therefore, as a nation, very, very saddened that we have lost our mother, who has been ailing for a while. And we want to send our condolences to the family.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta also mourned Mukami Kimathi, describing her as an enduring symbol of Kenya's liberation struggle and as someone who continuously demonstrated the true spirit of patriotism. The leader of opposition, Azimio la Umoja, Raila Odinga, has not hesitated to send his condolences to the family of the deceased. Raila says that Kenya owes Mama Kimathi a dignified send-off and a permanent comfort for the rest of their family throughout their life. Until her death, Mukami has been advocating for the exhumation of the remains of her husband, Dedan Kimathi, from Kamiti Maximum Prison to be buried at his home. Official government records show that Kimathi was captured by the colonial administration in 1956 at Kahigaini in the Aberdare Ranges and executed in 1957 in Kamiti Prison. Patrick Oduor, KUTV.
Rest well, Mama Mukami Kimathi. Moving on, President William Ruto has today hosted German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who is in Kenya following his 4-day visit to East Africa. The visit aims at strengthening bilateral ties between the two countries, including working together to actualize the implementation of the Paris Agreement by leading Kenya to join the Climate Club. James Mwenda Mureke with more.
President William Ruto, while addressing the Kenya-German press briefing, has called upon the German Chancellor to consider reviewing their tariff barriers to allow Kenyan products enter the German and Europe market space.
I have therefore called on the Chancellor to review tariff barriers and to allow Kenyan products to enter the German as well as the European market.
According to President Ruto, the German Chancellor has said that his country will chip in to boost the education sector in Kenya by supporting the government in building more technical and vocational training institutes.
Germany has also offered support to expand and upgrade our centers of excellence by increasing them from 3 to 7. Similar efforts will be extended to another 60 TVET institutions.
Additionally, Ruto has added that Germany has offered to support Kenya to organize the upcoming Africa Climate Action Summit that will be hosted by Kenya in September this year.
I am pleased to inform you that as a friend and partner, Germany has committed to support the summit with a financial contribution and with technical support. And Kenya has also confirmed its official joining of the Climate Club initiative, which calls for the expeditious implementation of the Paris Agreement.
In matters concerning regional peace in Africa and the current immediate war in Sudan, Ruto has called upon Chancellor Scholz to use his influence and power to convince other European states to help calm the situation in Sudan.
I urge Chancellor Scholz to use his voice and Germany's influence in various platforms, including the EU, the G7, G20, and the UN, to focus global attention on the forgotten conflicts in Africa in general and especially in the Horn of Africa.
On his part, Scholz has said that Kenya and Germany will drive towards the bilateral partnership and congratulated Ruto's move to join in the International Climate Action Club.
I'm impressed by Kenya's preparations for hosting the Africa Climate Action Summit. The summit you will be hosting, and Germany will be supporting Kenya with our technical means and also financial.
President Ruto says that it is through such bilateral ties that will make Kenya thrive through the current economic tensions. James Mureki Mwenda, KUTV.
Now, the final ceremony to bid farewell to the outgoing commander of the Defense Forces, General Robert Kibochi, took place today at the Ulinzi complex and at the Kenya Defense Forces headquarters. Kibochi handed over to the current commander, Francis Ogola. Kibochi exits the Kenya Defense Forces, having served for 44 years in the military helm. The event was graced by Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, former Defense CS Rachel Omamo, and former Chief of Defense Forces Samson Madede.
Former military commander Uditonje Ruse, rotation of power in the three army faces in the Kenya Defense Forces, that is the Kenya Army, Kenya Navy and Kenya Air Force, must take place. Kibochi from the Kenya Army handed over to General Ogola. Tonje Ruse said that the aim of the Kenya Defense Forces should rotate through the three arms of the Kenya Defense Forces. The farewell ceremony at the Ulinzi complex in Nairobi was graced by Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, former Defense Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo, former Commander of Defense Forces Samson Modede, and the current Commander of Defense Forces General Francis Ogola. Defense Cabinet Secretary Duale praised Kibochi by saying that he has left a mark in the military that should serve as an example to the incoming Commander of Defense Forces. In his farewell speech, Kibochi said that he hopes that Kenya Defense Forces will continue to remain a key player in contributing to global regional peace and stability through various assignments with the United Nations, the African Union and the East Africa Community. On his part, the current Commander of Defense Forces Francis Ogola from the Kenya Air Force praised Kibochi for his leadership and peace advocacy and promised to rule with honor and integrity. As Kibochi exits from the military aim in style, Ogola now takes over the helm to face a new military term. James Mureki Mwenda, KUTV.
And now on to news in our political spheres, where embattled Jubilee General Secretary Jeremiah Kioni now wants members of Parliament Sabina Chege and Kanini Kega deregistered from the party. In a letter to the office of the Registrar of Political Parties, Kioni wants the two removed from Jubilee membership register. The former Daragwa MP wants Sabina kicked out of the party for dethroning retired President Uhuru Kenyatta as the party leader. The National Executive Committee on Tuesday appointed the former Murang'a woman representative as the party leader in an acting capacity. However, according to Kioni, the deputy minority whip in the National Assembly violated the party constitution by creating a non-existent position in a bid to oust former President Uhuru Kenyatta from his position. Kioni also accused the nominated MP of advancing his ideologies, goals, and policies of the United Democratic Alliance and its affiliates. And now on to one of our interesting stories of tonight. As issues concerning climate change and global warming continue to cause debate on various platforms across the globe, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry is now rolling out a comprehensive national tree planting strategy that is aimed at increasing the country's forest cover to about 30% in the next 10 years. The ministry estimates that this can be achieved if every Kenya plants 30 trees annually over the next decade. Yvonne Kimuma with that report.
The Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry has now rolled out a comprehensive national tree planting strategy aimed at increasing the country's forest cover from 12.5% to 30% in the next 10 years by facilitating the planting of 15 billion trees across the country. This is according to the Cabinet Secretary of Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, Soipan Tuya, who was today addressing the media at Karura Forest, where she later led participants in planting 5,000 trees.
NGCDF fund, so that this fund can enable members of parliament across the 290 constituencies to hire young Kenyans, whom we are calling the Green Army, within their respective constituencies to support in raising seedlings in schools and within their communities while gaining income from these activities.
The recent initiative is geared towards involving more citizens, as the CS says the 15 billion target is doable if every Kenyan manages to plant 30 trees every year for the next 10 years. The ministry also has plans to establish 18 seed centers across the country to ensure eased access to seedlings.
Pursuant to our country providing leadership in the continent of Africa on climate change action, His Excellency the President, Dr. William Ruto, in his capacity as the current chair of the African Union Committee of Heads of State and Government on Climate Change, will be hosting the first ever one-of-a-kind Africa Climate Summit in Nairobi between the 4th and 16th of September 2023.
In regards to the forest fires which tend to derail progress made in environmental conservation, the CS announced plans to enhance firefighting capabilities to ensure less to no damage is made over the years.
I am directing the Acting Conservator of Forests to, with immediate effect, activate the multi-agency crackdown team to mount an intense, targeted and sustained crackdown across all forest ecosystems in the country to end these illegal activities.
30 trees per Kenyan every year is all it takes to plant 15 billion trees. This is as the government aims to improve the forest cover to at least 30%. The question remains, are you willing to do your part? Yvonne Kemuma, KU TV.
Thank you very much, Yvonne Kemuma, for that report. And on that note, we take a short break right here on KUTV Primetime News. When we come back, I will be joined by Charity Munyasia, who is the Deputy Chief Conservator of Forests at Kenya Forest Service. You don't want to miss that discussion as we get to understand where we have gone wrong and what we need to do to avert the changes that are there in our climate. See you in a bit, in a short while.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audiovisual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
What's up, fashionistas? Looking for a show that brings you the latest in the world of fashion, glamour, creativity, and style? Fashion Diaries got you sorted as we explore street fashion, modeling, runways, red carpet events, and so much more.
Catch me, Ashley, as Sakshi as we unlock the greatest fashion events. Keep it locked.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Karibuni sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Terror.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Art
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
You are watching KUTV Primetime News with Mutegi K. Martin.
Thank you for staying tuned to KUTV Primetime News. Evans ODHIAMBO and I are back, and we are joined by Charity Munyasia, who is the Deputy Chief Conservator at Kenya Forest Service. Conservator of forests, definitely. And she's joining us tonight for a conversation about our forests, Many of us, especially in the urban areas, the moment forest is mentioned, we think of cakes. So we're here to remind you what forests are and what we should be doing. Whether you are in the urban areas, whether you're in the rural areas, everywhere that you are, you need to be hearing about forests and what we need to do so that climate change in the negative can be averted. Thank you so much. Karibu sana to the conversation. Today I have two words that conflict, conservation and conversation. So welcome to the conversation about conservation of forests.
Thank you.
All right. So as we begin, kindly tell us what your work entails on a normal day and what really this conservation is all about from your perspective as personnel in the Kenya Forest Service.
Thank you. A day of a forest conservator, it depends at different levels what people do. Mm-hmm. A conservator in the field, the first thing is to ensure that the work in a forest station is going on well. And the key things is to look at the standard operating procedures in a forest station. And like, for example, if it is during the dry season, is the fire marker, is it on? If it is during the planting season like now, is the planting taking place? And that is the beginning of a forester, because that is the core of forestry, besides other administrative issues.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that. Now, talking about forestry and personnel in the forestry service, in your view, do we have enough forestry personnel in the country?
Before the current government, Kenya Forest Service has been operating below half the staff requirement. Our staff requirement at Kenya Forest Service is 8,200. But before this government, we were at 3,900. We are the institution that really benefited on the Masuja Day of 20th October 2022, when His Excellency the President said that Kenya Forest Service is going to recruit 2,700 rangers and 600 forest officers.
Wow.
This is because as we talk about tree planting and increasing the tree cover, we must protect what we have. The staff establishment in Kenya Forest Service, the 8,200, 500 is, no, so the 8,200, 5,000 is supposed to be the rangers. And we are so grateful that His Excellency the President, on that Masuja Day last year, he said he's going to recruit the rangers for us. And our CS, Madam Soipan Tuya, and our PS, Evantas Kimodo, they have been very keen and they have ensured that the government has done this for Kenya Forest Service. So currently, we have part of that team already at Gilgil training to be forest rangers, the recruited rangers. And as I'm sitting here, what is ongoing is the recruitment of 100 cadets who are part of that team. And also right now, the shortlisting is going on of part of the foresters who are being employed. With this team coming in, we feel Kenya Forest Service will really be assistant and will be able to do our mandate, which is to conserve and manage and sustainably develop the forest in this nation.
Right.
Otherwise, it has been a struggle, but with this new staff who are coming to the organization, Kenya Forest Service is very happy. It is the first time in the history of Kenya Forest Service that we are recruiting such big number of staff. We've always been operating in deficit. And then due to issues of no recruitment in government, most staff have been retiring. So you already have nothing, and the few who are there are retiring. So it has been so difficult. But we are very grateful to this government for giving conservation the first priority. And this is because if you don't conserve, anything else you do will be a waste. Because if the environment is not secure, whatever else you are calling security, it will not take you over. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
And coming from you, that's very heartwarming. I remember earlier before this conversation officially, we're talking about KU, where this wonderful station is located.
Yes.
Where I was informing you that we have planted trees in this institution for so many years.
Yes.
And you gladly told me that you have been providing trees for a number of years to this university.
Yes.
Quite commendable. So it's really heartwarming to hear that coming from you,
Yes.
having spent a number of years in this particular service.
Yes.
Allow me, dear viewer, to mention a few things that are pertinent to this conversation, just to remind you in case you're joining us right now. And some of this information is on the bottom of your screen, where the government of Kenya seeks to plant 15 billion trees by 2032, which is a comprehensive national tree planting strategy that will involve Kenyan citizens. And then this plan is to increase the forest cover to about 30% in the next 10 years. And we shall be also looking in this conversation about forest fires, which tend to derail this particular progress that is made, the progress that's supposed to be made as we cater for the environment. So back to our conversation, Madam Charity. The government is looking forward to now going a step further from what we have been talking about. The number of rangers the forest officers that you mentioned, the number has been increased, and the further step is to bring on board citizens and to involve citizens once more.
Yes.
This is not the first time we are seeing citizens being involved in planting of trees.
Yes.
And so it may not be possible that every Kenyan in the next 10 years will plant 30 trees annually.
Yes.
If we are to bring on the element of probability, then some Kenyans may not plant trees at all. Some may plant less trees than is required. What are the structures that Kenya Forest Service is expected to put in place to make sure that the same level of reforestation happens over the next decade as we look to increasing the forest cover to 30% in the next 10 years?
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
The 30% tree cover strategy, to achieve this by 2032, as you have clearly said, and as the CS said this morning, it is everybody's responsibility. Kenya Forest Service, we are being added this personnel, so that we can lead the nation in achieving the 30% tree cover. That is the reason that we wanted all this stuff. That was the reason, no other reason. And in this strategy, there is responsibilities of each and every person. And the strategy is divided into different intervention areas to break it down so that everybody can participate. That, for example, we are going to restore 350,000 hectares in the government forests. These are degraded areas within the government forests. And in the government forests, we have partners, private sector, adopting sites in the forest. And we also have the different organizations coming to the forest, the private sector, the individuals, adopting sites in the forest. We have like Eden Afforestation Project. We have Absa Bank, Family Bank, Safaricom, to mention but a few, like yesterday the IRA, they were planting in coast. So everybody is coming in and taking a portion of the forest. We are calling it Adopt a Forest, where you come, you are given a portion, you plant and maintain for 3 to 5 years, and then it becomes a forest. You hand it back down to Kenya Forest Service to keep protecting. As you can see, we've been enriched with the protection section of our organization. So there's the planting in the government forests. For mangroves in the coast, we have about 14,000 hectares which require restoration. That's another area. And if so many people are interested in restoring the mangroves because of the high absorption rate of carbon. And then we have targets which are covering other areas. Like in the agroforestry, we have a target of about 3 million hectares. These are the hectares we expect that the Kenyans will plant trees in their own farms, like the agroforestry tree species, which do not affect the crops. Like what you see in Central, in Eastern, and like in Nakuru, when you are walking around, you see there are trees in the farms, and these trees do not affect the crops. Those are the agroforestry tree species. That target is big. And then we have the target of planting trees, plantations in the people's farms. So we expect people to plant trees in their own farms for commercial purposes, because the current production in the government forest, we have only 6% of our gazetted forest, which is plantation forestry. Out of the 94 or the 2.6 million hectares, 94% is natural forest, and it's only 6% which is plantation. So that 6% needs to be boosted by individuals who have learned planting trees in their farms. Now, everybody may not plant the trees, but we encourage everybody to do so because it's a call for all of us, including the kids. Those who do not have land to plant, they can plant in public places, and then they are protected and they are taken care of. And because it's a government agenda, everybody is participating. If it's in a public place, we plant. Like in Gongyus, we plant, we fence, and we ensure that the survival is achieved. The other targets we have is like the schools. We have like 70,000 hectares targets for the schools, so that the schools can raise seed trees and they plant trees in their schools. The other targets are restoration of the catchment areas. We outside now the government forest. We have 5,000 hectares target for that. We also have the target for the planting along the roadside, along the riparian, all those places. Honestly speaking, we've not planted in all those places in Kenya. Like along the roadside, do we have any road with a proper avenue tree planting? We don't have in this country. And this is where we have to go and ensure that we have highway planting as trees planted along the road so that they can earn the aesthetics. But the biggest target in the 30% tree cover strategy is the restoration of our rangelands. 58% of the target is actually in the rangelands. Because when the forest and landscape restoration study was done for Kenya in 2016, it showed that in Kenya we need to restore that 8.8 million hectares distributed in different areas, in government forests, in the agroforestry, in the rangelands, along the riparians, along the roads. But the biggest mapping was the biggest chunk of restoration is in the rangelands, which was 25.7 million hectares. That is why the strategy has the biggest target in the rangelands, because also in the rangelands is where we have land. And the other part of the country where we are talking of agroforest and all these other things, that is where we are competing with the food crops, and you know you have to eat. That is where we expect in the 20% of our country we will do more of agroforestry, fruit trees and all those other trees. And then in the rangelands is where we have the highest potential. But in the rangelands, there is not necessarily planting. There is planting, yes, but the bigger part of the challenges of drylands, you know, one of the biggest challenges in the drylands is water. So we intend in the strategy to ensure that we are supporting the water harvesting, like in schools, boreholes in some areas. And this target is going, the strategy is, the implementation is going up to the ward level.
All right.
We have 1,491 in Kenya, and you know we have 280 constituencies. So the implementation, it will be up to the ward level, and everybody will have to participate. So we are in the process of ensuring that we develop the proper reporting mechanisms, like we have the Njasamiti app, where when you plant the tree, you use the Njasamiti app. When you go to Google Store, you get it, and then you say you have planted the trees and where you have planted.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have like 5 minutes to go. I want us to take this very fast. You are advocates, and you've mentioned about the increase of service of forest officers and the forest
the
rangers.
Yes.
I keep forgetting that name. In you are leading the rest of us.
Yes.
And right now in these conversations, I join that league of advocates.
Yes.
As we talk about this.
Yes.
How do we ensure that citizens get to the next level? Because citizens have not been planting trees very well in this country, and their head of state is now leading other heads of states in the AU on climate change.
Yes.
What can we do to support all this cause together as citizens of Kenya?
One of the things we are grateful to His Excellency the President, he has accepted to do to Kenya Forest Service, is sorry, we are going to employ,
Sorry.
we are going to have the Green Army. The Green Army will be people who will be representing up to the world level. And these people, they are there to give the necessary guidance and to ensure that people are doing it. And these foresters who are coming, they are going to be in the sub-county level. So we'll have the technical support from the sub-county level. And this Green Army person is like a frontline officer who is going to ensure that the people in this locality, they are planting trees. And why are they not planting? And the technical officer is there. So when all is set, everybody will plant. But we are really counting on the social media. The fourth estate, you are the people who communicate everything in this nation. Please, let every Kenyan know this and plant trees, because it is the responsibility of all of us.
All right.
Kids, grown-ups, everybody. Let us keep planting our age and we'll get there.
All right.
It is achievable because in Kenya Forest Service, we have implemented some other project at small scale, and we have gotten experiences on how best to achieve this. I believe you have seen some counties where the landscape has changed because of some projects. So we are going to use all these skills in ensuring that people are doing it. As you have heard, the biggest target is not in the government forest, but outside there. And that is where we have to really create a lot of awareness. For this year, when we started this agenda, I would say we did have a lot of seedlings, because the first step in tree growing is raising of seedlings. And again, we are so grateful that our CS and our PS, they have talked to His Excellency the President, and he has said that he's going to give us great boost in raising the seedlings come July the next financial year. So we are very excited about this, because right now, so many chiefs are coming to our forest offices requesting for seedlings, and like we had a meeting the other day, and the regional forest conservator of Mau was telling us, I've planted all the seedlings. Other regional forest conservators, who are seedlings to give me so that we plant? Because everybody, when it rained, everybody came for the seedlings. So with the boost of raising the seedlings, and also the Green Army is not just these people who are telling people to plant trees. We expect a lot of youth, a lot of groups, a lot of women groups, a lot of men groups, a lot of individuals to raise seedlings in their own seedlings, which they will sell to those people who will be wanting to plant trees. Because in the strategy, it was envisaged that 50% or a percentage of seedlings will be raised by the government, but the other percentage has to be raised by the public. And then what we are encouraging is that the government is not forcing you to plant a particular type of tree. Plant a tree in your farm according to your need. If you do not have a very big farm, do agroforestry, do fruit tree, do what you feel it will also bring you money. Because it will do the conservation, it will help in mitigating climate issues, and it will also give you products.
Amazing.
So that is the beauty of it,
Right.
that we are giving that technical advice, depending with the size of land, depending with what species also can do well in that area, and depending on what you need.
Right.
And like in the dry areas where we have the biggest target, we want to take a step further. Like Kenya Forest Research Institute has done a lot of research on dry land tree species, like Meria vokenza mokau, which does very well in dry areas. It's a prime cash crop for farmers in this nation, but it has not been done. And then our fruit trees in the dry areas, like tamarind, I mean, we've not really been growing them seriously. And then gums and resins, we've not enhanced the acacias in the rangelands so that we produce more gums and resins. So we also have very prime products in these rangelands. We only need to ensure that we promote this, and then we improve the economy of this nation, and we improve the livelihood of the people of this nation.
Thank you for that. Very well, very well. Unfortunately, time is against us. We need to wind up, but I cannot release you before I ask you this final question.
Yes.
Moratorium was imposed a while back on harvesting of trees, and now that moratorium is already lifted. And as we had a discussion earlier, the moratorium has been lifted for mature and over mature trees.
Yes.
Kindly shed light on that as we wind up for the
Thank
sake
you.
of time. I'll give you
Thank
a
you.
minute and a half.
Thank you.
All right.
The Kenyans need to know that of the government forests, 94% are indigenous forests. And these indigenous forests are not for cutting. Those are for ecological services. Those are for water, for oxygen, for soil conservation, for other non-cutting uses, the non-extractive uses. That is where we do the grazing. That is where we get the herbs. That is where we get other non-extractive forest uses. That is where we do the ecotourism. It is only 6% of the government forest, which is plantation, that is where now the harvesting is done. And every year, we harvest only 5,000 hectares, only. And there is a serious felling plan, which is 25 years. It's rotational, and it is sustainable. Because this year we are planting, we are cutting 5,000 every year, and every year we are planting the same area. And then there is silvicultural activities taking place. It is a cycle of 25 years. It is not one day. It is a process. It is organized. You plant, you prune, you thin until you harvest. 25 years. And some of these plantations, they mature and over mature. The ones now the moratorium has been lifted to be harvested. Some of these plantations were established using the World Bank loan. And imagine Kenya, that we are struggling to pay these loans. So we need to harvest these trees which are rotting in the forest so that they can help us in paying these loans.
Right.
Because we really have to clear these loans so that we move on as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have come to the end of the conversation, but you came loaded like the Green Army commander that you are. You came loaded with information. So we shall definitely have you back, because we are advocates for environment and positive climate change in this particular, trying to avert the negative climate change that is happening. So it's good to have you, Charity Munyasia. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we shall be glad to have you back soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, we've come to the end of the conversation. Charity Munyasia joined us today, Deputy Chief Conservator of Forests at KFS, to shed light on our forests, and I hope you have learned it's time for us to take action as citizens. We take a very short breather. We shall be back with more stories. All right, welcome back. Let's get you to more stories in the nation. And now we move to CBC, where the adoption of the competency-based curriculum, CBC, has presented a challenge to education stakeholders, since it has been met by criticism from parents of CBC learners who claim that the curriculum has burdened them. This was a research conducted by Zizi Afrique, a non-governmental organization aimed at improving learning outcomes for vulnerable children in East Africa. This report has been produced by Cynthia Atieno.
For the 7th annual conference of the Kenya Primary School Head Teachers Association held in the Githu Secondary School in Nanyuki, Zizi Afrique Foundation Program Officer David Alela said that life skills are crucial academic subjects that should be adapted for a better society. Alela stated that it was everyone's duty to cooperate in order to support primary school students in understanding real-life situations.
About 5% of them, you can say that they're proficient, when it comes to problem solving. What does that mean? It therefore means that these are the adolescents who are able, to identify, they're able to recognize a problem, and they can go to an extent of giving you even multiple solutions to that problem.
In order to instill values and competence in this situation, Alela says teachers and parents must set good example for the students so that they will focus more on the curriculum.
It is not only the teachers, even the role of the parents, the parental engagement, because most of the time, even the parents, sometimes they leave all this responsibility to the teachers. So then how then can we, strengthen the linkages between the parents and also the teachers? How can we strengthen the linkages between home and school? And we're also calling upon the government, our leaders, how can they set a good example even to our learners, so that at least we can have a society that is transformed, and a society where our learners are equipped with these values and life skills.
In recent months, parents have been complaining about the competency-based curriculum, claiming that their kids are being assigned too much work, including lack of clear educational policies for the effective implementation of the CBC curriculum, lack of validity and reliability of student test results, lack of ICT infrastructure, and shortage of teachers with the necessary training. The Ministry of Education was urged to allocate enough funds for CBC and CBA implementation to be successful. Njama Gikomo, KUTV.
Now, the Kenya Animal Genetic Resource Center, KAGRC, has signed a memorandum of understanding with the county government of Kakamega to help them establish an artificial insemination AI station for the pigs. The AI station for the pigs will be the first one in the country and will supply semen across the nation. This is according to KAGRC Managing Director, Dr. David Kios.
The first artificial center for both pigs and goats is set to be established in Kakamega as the Kenya Animal Genetic Resource Center signs a memorandum of understanding with the county government. The county government will utilize the pig breeding and multiplication center at the Bukura Agricultural and Training Center for training the vets. KAGRC Managing Director Dr. David Kios says that the AI station for pigs will be the first one in the country.
Currently, the pigs take long to reach market weight, but as KAGRIC, we have an MOU with the county government to help them set up the pig AI station, which will be within the county, together with the liquid nitrogen plant to help them also carry out AI.
Kyo says that the institution will boost the pig farming industry as currently pigs take long to reach the required market weight. He emphasizes that KAGRC will support the county government in setting up a liquid nitrogen plant to help them carry out AI services efficiently.
Pigs in Kakamega will be the first one in the country, and it will supply semen all over the country, not only to Kakamega, but other parts of Kenya. We are also introducing code AI, and we believe that we've seen codes here, and we believe that we can improve the codes to produce up to 5 liters of milk per day.
The managing director has urged livestock farmers to utilize sexed semen from the resource center so that their cattle can produce between 15 to 20 liters of milk.
We also work with our county government in the issue of sexed semen. Soon we'll be introducing sexed semen and embryos, courtesy of our collaboration with the county government of Kakamega.
Farmers in Kakamega breed the large white and landrace pigs. The county has an approximate 100,000 pigs and 20,000 pig farmers. Patrick Odur, KUTV.
All right, we take a short break right here on KUTV Primetime News. When we come back loaded with sports news.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Karibuni sana to the Church O'Clock Show. I'm your host, Esther Becky.
And my name is DJ Tero.
We start you off with a word of prayer and get you started with a live transformational worship experience. And have our minds renewed by the word of God on the word segment.
And not forgetting new music za hii wiki, yani ndakuwa bado nawapatia pale wasanii wamekuwa kiwakali. So make sure manzo tune in because zitakuwa zina flow pia pale mixes kwa wingi, yani zitakuwa zina come through, and pia performance yani from our gospel artist hapa on Gospel Arts
from 7 to
10 a.m. only on KUTV.
Welcome back, and if you're watching this, you're watching Sports News. AFC Leopards fans can now attend AFC matches after the ban they were handed by Football Kenya Federation (FKF) was lifted following the chaos experienced in the match between AFC Leopards and Kakamega Homeboys at the Bukungu Stadium. The federation made a statement saying Leopard fans were banned from attending AFC matches. The lifting of the ban comes as a reprieve for the AFC fans, and they are expected at the Nyaya National Stadium on Sunday, May 7th, when Ingwe take on Zoya Sugar in an FKF Premier League clash. From Kenyan Premier League to the English Premier League, Brighton FC bagged all the 3 points against a hapless Manchester United in an English Premier League encounter at the Amex Stadium. Alexis McAllister scored the only goal for Brighton via a penalty kick at the very end of the match after United's Luke Shaw handled the ball inside the penalty box. These results leave United fourth on EPL table with 63 points, while Brighton sit sixth with 55 points. All right, we've come to the end of the conversation tonight on our bulletin and the later conversation that we had on forestry. And I hope you got to get to learn a few things about our forest and where we are and what we need to do. In case you missed that conversation, it will be on our social media pages, that is KUTV Kenya on Facebook and KUTV Kenya live on YouTube. We've come to the end of the conversation. Our sign language interpreter is Evans ODHIAMBO, and my name is Mutegi K. Martin. Remember to stay safe and get ready. We have the armies coming to us, and we shall also join the army, the Green Army of planting trees, so that we can help the government achieve 30% forest cover in the next decade. Have a good night. God bless you. See you soon.